Ambrosio was born in Italy many centuries ago. He was not a monster, not cursed from birth, and not born into darkness. He was simply a young traveler with a restless soul and a deep curiosity about the world. From an early age, he heard stories about the mysterious oracle of Delphi in Greece, a sacred place where mortals could seek visions of the future. The oracle was believed to speak with the voice of the god Apollo himself, and kings, warriors, and wanderers crossed oceans just to hear her prophecies. Ambrosio eventually decided to travel there himself. He sailed across the Mediterranean and journeyed inland until he reached Delphi, a sacred city built into the mountains and dedicated to the sun god Apollo. Pilgrims filled the temples, and priests guarded the sanctuaries where divine messages were spoken. When Ambrosio entered the temple to ask about his future, the oracle stared at him strangely and whispered a short prophecy that chilled him. She said only a few cryptic words: that a curse would fall, that the moon would rise over blood, and that his fate would be tied to darkness. Ambrosio did not understand what the words meant. Confused and unsettled, he spent the night outside the temple wondering about the strange prophecy. As dawn approached and the sun began to rise, he saw a woman walking toward the temple. She was breathtakingly beautiful. Her name was Selene. She served the temple and cared for the oracle during her trances. Her calm presence and gentle voice captivated Ambrosio immediately. The two began speaking, and within days they were meeting every morning before she entered the temple. Their conversations turned into affection, and affection soon became love. Ambrosio felt he had finally found the purpose he had been searching for. He asked Selene to leave Delphi with him and return to Italy so they could begin a life together. But they were not alone in their admiration for her. The god Apollo himself had been watching. Apollo, the radiant god of the sun, prophecy, and music, had long been fascinated with Selene. When he saw that a mortal man had captured her heart, jealousy ignited into divine rage. To Apollo, it was an insult that a mere human would dare claim the love he desired. So the god placed a terrible curse upon Ambrosio. From that moment onward, the light of the sun would burn his flesh. Ambrosio did not understand the curse until the next morning, when he stepped into daylight and felt his skin erupt in agony, as if it were being consumed by fire. The sunlight itself had become his enemy. Because of this curse, he could no longer meet Selene in the morning as they always had. Days passed, and she wondered where he had gone. Ambrosio hid in caves and shadows, terrified of the burning pain that daylight brought. Desperate to break the curse and return to the woman he loved, Ambrosio sought help from the only god who might oppose Apollo. He descended into the dark places of the world and prayed to Hades, the ruler of the underworld. Hades listened carefully to the young man's plea. The god saw an opportunity within Ambrosio's desperation. Hades offered him a bargain. If Ambrosio could steal the sacred silver bow belonging to the goddess Artemis, he would lift Apollo's curse and protect both Ambrosio and Selene from the wrath of the sun god. But nothing given by the Lord of the dead comes without a price. Ambrosio had to gamble his own soul. Driven by love and despair, Ambrosio accepted the deal. His soul became the possession of Hades, and in return, he received a magical bow and arrows to hunt offerings so he might gain her trust. For weeks, Ambrosio wandered through forests and mountains, hunting animals. Yet instead of presenting the kills to Artemis as he had promised, his thoughts remained consumed by Selene. He used the blood of the swans he hunted as ink, writing poems and love letters to her in secret. Eventually, Ambrosio managed to approach Artemis herself and steal her silver bow, but the goddess quickly discovered the theft. Artemis, the fierce goddess of the moon and the hunt, confronted him with fury. As punishment, she placed another curse on him. If silver ever touched his skin, it would burn him with unbearable pain. Now, Ambrosio carried two divine curses, the sun from Apollo and silver from Artemis. Broken and hopeless, he fell to his knees before the goddess and confessed everything. He told her about Apollo's jealousy, his love for Selene, and the bargain he had made with Hades. Artemis listened. Unlike her brother Apollo, Artemis understood human suffering. She saw that Ambrosio had acted not out of greed, but out of love. Though she would not remove the curses already given, she decided to transform them into something new. Instead of destroying him, she would change him, or granted Ambrosio immortality. His body would no longer age or weaken. She gave him incredible strength, speed, and senses so sharp that he could hunt like the greatest predator in the world. She gave him fangs so that he could drink blood directly from his prey, eliminating the need for weapons. But these gifts came with conditions. He would still burn in sunlight because of Apollo's curse. Silver would still harm him because of Artemis' own curse, and the hunger for blood would become the source of his survival. In that moment, Ambrosio became something entirely new. Neither human nor god, he became the first vampire. Freed from the fear of death but condemned to live in darkness, Ambrosio returned to Selene. They hid together in caves and forests, emerging only at night. Under the moonlight they worshipped Artemis, grateful for the goddess's mercy. Years passed, and Selene began to age, while Ambrosio remained unchanged. Wrinkles slowly touched her face, and weakness crept into her body. The thought of losing her again terrified him. Before death could take her, Ambrosio made a final decision. He bit her. He drained her blood, and then gave his own supernatural blood back to her, transforming her just as Artemis had transformed him. Selene died as a mortal woman and awakened as an immortal being like Ambrosio. Together, they became eternal. Ambrosio wandered the world with Selene beneath the protection of the moon. They lived in shadows, hidden from the daylight that still burnt her skin. Their love endured centuries. According to the legend, Ambrosio eventually returned to Italy, where he began creating others like himself. Those he turned became the first clan of vampires. He called them his children. They inherited the gifts and curses of their creator: immortality, supernatural strength, the thirst for blood, and the vulnerability to sunlight and silver. The moonlight of Selene was said to watch over them, while Ambrosio remained their eternal father. Thus, the race of vampires began, born from jealousy among gods, mercy from a goddess, and the desperate love of a mortal man who refused to let death separate him from the woman he loved. Even in modern retellings of the legend, Ambrosio is remembered not simply as a monster, but as the tragic origin of vampirism itself. A man cursed by gods, reshaped